Okay. So what is disk LVM? LVM is the logical value manager. So let me give you one example. This is the two drives I have. If I will talk about the Windows server, let me make it a C drive, then it's a D drive, and it's a E drive having space 50 GB, and out of 50 I have used the 30 GB. Then for D drive it's also same 50 GB, and out of 50 GB I have also used the 40 GB. And for E drive, let's take some example, same size 50 GB, and I have used here 20 GB. But what happened? Now here I am facing the space issue. In C drive, I need another 10 GB. Is it possible to expand the space from D drive or E drive in case of Windows? It is not. It's not
No, sir.
possible.
No possible.
Yes, it is not possible. But
Yes.
in case of Linux, what we will do, we will configure the drives in a such a way that the all drives will be combined, and it will configure as a LVM, and whenever required we can expand and reduce a drive space, and we can add that space to the another drive.
So if we want to combine the C drive and D drive in a single drive, then is it possible?
In Windows it is not possible because it's a uh, in a Windows system it's a primary partition, and in case of CD these are the extended partition.
Yes, sir.
This is D drive, this is E drive, and this is F drive. So it's not possible. But in case of here we can do that. D, E, F we can reduce and expand, but we cannot expand the C drive from the D, E, F because this is the primary partition, and these are the extended partition. Okay. So what we will do in case of Linux, we will take 3 drives. As I told you, in Linux drives will be in /dev /sdk /dev /sdb /sdc. What we will do, we will create partitions from these drives, and this partition will be SDA1, SDB1, and it will be SDC1. What we will do, we will configure in such a way that this drive will be configured in LVM.
The
And
screen is not visible.
if configure the LVM here, so let's say it's a 50 GB disk. Okay. Then LVM will be 150 GB. Is it clear? In last class, we have discussed about some important directories in Linux, and what is absolute path, what is relative path, and how to change a directory, how to list the contents of a directory, and how to copy files and directories in Linux. So today we will discuss how to partitioning a directory. Yesterday also I have told you how to identify what is a disk, that means what is a hard disk and what is a external hard disk, and what is a partition. How we can identify this? I have already told you. SDA, SDB, these are the hard disk, and SDA1, SDA2, SDC, SDA3, these are the partitions. By seeing this combination, we can identify this is a partition and this is a hard disk. Also, we can identify seeing the SDA, SDB as a external hard disk. By seeing the HDA, we can identify this is a external hard disk. So now we will discuss what is a firmware. Firmware comes in two ways. One is EFI and another is BIOS. EFI means extensible firmware interface, uses GUID partition table. That means EFI supports the GPT partition table, and whereas BIOS supports the MBR partition table. Now all servers are coming with EFI partition, which supports the GPT partition. So both UEFI full software that starts when you boot your server before booting your operating system. That means when we will start a server, before server starts the operating system, BIOS starts, and that BIOS may be UEFI or a BIOS. BIOS are two types. By default, Red Hat Enterprise Linux or CentOS comes with the GPT kernel support. UEFI is more modern solution supporting larger hard drives, faster boot times. UEFI firmware still referred to as BIOS to avoid confusion. That means BIOS are two types. That means BIOS is a very light software which is UEFI or a BIOS. Still we are calling UEFI as a BIOS because to avoid the confusion. BIOS cannot create a Linux partition larger than 2 TB using the fdisk command. That means using fdisk command, we can create a partition, but in case of BIOS, we cannot create a larger partition more than 2 TB. So command will be fdisk /deb sdb. Here /deb sdb is the hard disk, and using the fdisk command, we can make a partition. To solve this problem, GNU parted command that with GPT, that means parted /db/sdb. Using the parted command, we can create GPT partitions more than 2 TB as a single volume. For this partitioning, we have to use the command fdisk. Let me show you. fdisk-l is the command which will show you the detailed about the hard disk and the partitions. So here SDB and SDA having two, I have added two volumes in my Linux operating system having 2 GB capacity. So let's make a partition from the SDA volume. So command will be fdisk/deb/sda. Here you can see welcome to fdisk. Changes will remain in memory only until you decide to write them. That means after complete the partition, we have to save them. So here enter M for help. You can see these are the options we can use here. D for delete and N for added new partition. So P the print the partition table. Here if I use the P, you can see there is no partition already created. So now we will create a partition. Here is the chance also how to decide if we will create a GPT or a BIOS DOS partition. That means for GPT we can use the G, and for DOS we have used the O. Let's use the G only. You can see now the GPT partition should be created using this volume. Let's again use the N. Then here it will ask the number of partition. Please press here 1 here. That means default will be 1. It will create a partition having number 1. Then first sector, please enter here. Then use the last sector. As I will create a single partition using 2 GB, so I will utilize the all the spaces starting from 2048 to end number. You can see /db sda1 is created with Linux partition type. So we need to use the W here so that it will be save the partition. Now check again with the fdisk command. You can see sda1 is created. That means one partition is created from the /db sda volume. Is it clear to all? Okay. Likewise also,
Yes,
we
sir.
can create another volume, create another partition from the /db sdb. You can see SDA1 and SDB1 is created. That means two volumes or two partitions are created from the two volumes. Now you can format /db/sdb1 and mount it as usual. That means now we have to format the new created partition according to our requirement. We can use it as a MKFS partition, or we can make as a ext4 partition. According to our requirement, we can use that. But I have already told you, in case of ext4, we can, if we configure the LVM, then we can extend and reduce as well. But in case of XFS, we cannot reduce the partition. So we will use the MKFS partition format. We will format the partition in a ext4 format. mkfs.ext4/deb/sdp1. Again also we will format the sda1. The next step is, we also know that df-h command will be show the all the mounted partitions. Here you can see we have created two partitions, but that partition is not showing here. That means another step is pending. We have to mount that partition. How we will mount that? We will create a directory, then we will mount the partition.
Hello, sir. Video कटिगला.
We have created data1 and data2. Then we will mount the partition. mount command will be mount /db/sda1 slash and again mount the data2 with the partition sdb1. Now use again the command df-h. You can see two partitions are now showing here. But this is the temporary solution. Whenever we will reboot the server, then this partition will disappear and this will be not available for the use. So to make it permanent, we have to make an entry in /fs tab /etc/fs tab. Here we have to make an entry /dev /sda1, then one space /data data1, then /ext4, then partition, then defaults defaults, then 0 space 0. Again and /dev /sdb1 /data data2 ext4 defaults 0 space 0. Now save the file or save the configuration. Then again check using the mount-a command. You can see there is no error. Please remember this, once make a entry in FS tab, we have to check the configuration using the mount-a command. Else here if there is any error in the entry in the FS tab, it will be display here. Unless until what will happen if we will make a entry in FS tab and we will not check and we will reboot the server, then server will not come up with the control D error. At that time server will not come properly. So it is necessary to check the entry in FS tab using the command mount-a. Let me show you. Here we will do a mistake. That means we will remove the S here and we will save the entry. You can see in the configuration of SDB1 we have here is a wrong entry in /sdb partition. Let and quit, then check with the mount-a command. Let me unmount that partition, so we have already mounted. Now you can see it is showing that for /data2 wrong FS type bad option. That means here is a wrong entry for /data2 and here we will be correct that one. You can also see that data1 for parameters for data1 is correct. That's why data1 is mounted, but data2 was not mounted with the error. Again we will use the same command mount-a. You can see there is no error and check the partition. You can see both partition are came and configuration is good. So please remember this one, after making the entry in FS tab, it is always advisable to check with the mount-a command, else the server will not come up and it will show the control D error. Is it clear to all?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Then now we will learn the LVM. What is LVM? LVM is logical volume manager. That means we will logically manage the volumes. So what we will do? These are the physical volumes. These are the multiple physical volumes. Out of the physical volume, we will create the partitions. Then using those partitions, we will create a volume group. My screen is visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So using the partitions, we will create the from the volume group, we will create the logical volume and mount the logical volume to the directory according to our requirement. So now we have created two partitions. You can see we have already created two partitions, SDA1 and SDB1. We will configure the LVM using the SDA1, SDB1. So for that, we have completed this person only. We have taken the two physical volumes and we have also created the partitions. Now we will configure the volume group. To create the volume group, first we have to use the PV create. That means we will prepare the volumes, we will prepare the partitions for the logical LVM. PV create PV create slash DV slash SDA1 or cannot open the mounted file system. Okay, D minus H. We have already mounted this one. So unmount the partitions. As well as comment the entry in FS tab. Check the entry using mount-a command. I can see commented in FS tab. Now we will use the PV create. Yes. Then we will use the SDB1. That means we are prepare the SDA1 and SDB1 for the logical volume. So here we have successfully created the PV, prepare the physical volume using PV create command. To check the physical volumes in LVM, use the command PVS. That means physical volumes. As you can see, two volumes we have used for the LVM, SDA1 and SDB1. So here PVS, you can also use the PV scan and you can also use the PV scan command as well in case of PVS also. So then we will create the logical volume. So PV display also another command. PV display, PVS and PV scan. Three commands you can use to display the physical volumes. Now we will create the logical volume using, now we will create the volume group. Here we have created the physical volume. Now we will create the volume group using the command VG create. VG create mime VG. That means mime VG is the volume group and SDB1, SDC1. In our case, we will take the SDA1. Now we will use the command VGS to check the volume group. Yes, you can see. You can see we have used a wrong command. That's why volume group not created. We have used a hash here. That's why command was wrong. Again use the command VG create. So now we will create a logical volume using the command LV create from the group my LV. Here it will my VG. Yes, logical LV create minus n means new, my LV means it will be new volume my LV, minus L means length will be 2 GB from the my VG. Using my VG we will create a new partition, new volume having 2 GB capacity and the name will be my LV. You can see LVS, you will create the command LVS. You can see my LV, a logical volume created from the my VG, volume group is my VG and having the 2 GB capacity. So likewise, you can create a logical volume from the volume group. Previously, we have created a volume group myVG. From out of the volume group, we will create multiple volumes, logical volumes, and it is also possible to reduce the logical volume, also expand the logical volume. According to our requirement, you can reduce it as well as expand it. Now, next step is we have to again format the logical volume. Here we will, if we will use the XFS, we cannot reduce the partition. If we will use the ext4, we can reduce as well as expand the volume. You can see now volume is formatted with ext4 partition, sorry, ext4 format. Now again we have to mount the volume. We will mount it with /data. Then you can see using the df-h command, the volume is mounted with /data. To make it permanent, again we have to make an entry in /etc fs tab. Copy this path, then use the mount-a command to check the /tab entry, then df-th. You can see data is mounted with the logical volume mylv and the partition format is ext4. Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.